If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims. Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Joel Green. He is the CEO of Pro Level Training, the National Director of Nike Sports Camps, a former professional basketball player, and a renowned motivational speaker. After retiring from his career in professional basketball, Joel Green founded Pro Level Training, which became a 7-figure company. Congrats. That's exciting.
Thank you.
You know, you're on purpose to get into 7 figures. That's awesome.
Trying to figure it out. Right. It's like,
In addition to running PLT, Green is also the national director of Nike Sports Camps, as well as an accomplished speaker. He was honored to speak for thousands and deliver his own TED Talk. And he now has an upcoming book called Filtering: The Way to Extract Strength from Struggle. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you. Thank you, Carissa. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk with you. So there's so many questions that I have, and my husband gave me some questions too. And I have kids, my daughter's not really that into sports, but my son is. He wants to be a professional soccer player.
Nice.
And he was just looking at, I took him to camp and he was looking at the jerseys of the professional players signed. And I was like, why don't you visualize that that's your jersey, you know, that you retired?
Absolutely. Hey, look,
I was just playing around with it. So I want to explore the question of the difference in mentality between an average athlete and a peak performing player like yourself, and that you're training, I guess, kids. Is that normally who you train?
Mm-hmm.
Kids. Yeah. So what do you feel is the difference?
The main thing that I preach and that I've noticed, even, because I wasn't always a peak performer. I didn't, I had to go through a process before becoming a Division I athlete in college and things like that. And the biggest difference I found that separates, I hate to call it average, but, those from peak performers is consistency. That's literally the main thing. So it's not that those who aren't peak performers aren't capable of executing what peak performers do on the fields and on the court, but the peak performer does it more consistently. And that's the main thing. They go in with a different mentality of, I must do my best tonight. And when that night is over, the next day comes, they have the same approach night in, night out, day in and day out. And as opposed to someone else may take some days off, may take some games off, but the peak performer, they're locked in to every moment they step on the field or the court. They have to do well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that because, it really, I think, can give people hope that if you are driven and consistent, there is a possibility for you to be a peak performer. And I liked how you said you were a little bit turned off by the word average, because there can be amazing players. And in fact, they can almost be at the top level, but not quite there. I mean, do you feel that average is kind of a bad word?
I don't feel that it's a bad word.
Okay.
I feel that it's a word that, I put the word out there. I even have a slogan like NBA mentality, never be average. I tell people,
you do have it. It's
yeah, so it's like I prefer to see it as, it's not an ideal word for me. I'm not a fan of average anything, to be honest. I tell people to overachieve all the time. And overachievement gets a bad rap. If someone's called an overachiever, it's like you're calling them a bad name or something. And for
Yeah,
me,
or
I'm like,
you're an overachiever. Yeah.
yeah, I desire to overachieve. I mean, I want to give my best to whatever I do. So, my whole objective is to see people into, if I'm going to work with somebody to get the best out of you, I'm not going to work with you to help you be average at what I'm helping you execute. So I'm working with you to help you go beyond, well above the average way of execution. And so that okay, wow, I'm great at this thing. And I'm not only good.
Yeah. Do you find that some parents come to you with their kids and maybe they have natural talent, but they're just not motivated or they don't care? Do you ever come across that?
Plenty, plenty. I've come across thousands of kids that way. I mean it too. No exaggeration. To where they have
Thousands. Yeah.
a ton of talent, a ton of natural ability, athleticism. They just do not have the drive to capitalize on it and say, okay, wow, I do have these gifts. And if I only just work a little bit harder, then these gifts will really shine. And I've seen cases to where those gifts have, I dare say, never shine at the level to where they could have, because they didn't have the internal drive themselves. And that's what it's really about too. Like the kid has to have that. It's only so far a parent or a coach can push a player to improve. After a while, once you give them the initial foundation and the tools, which that may require a push, there's nothing wrong with that. The kid has to develop a drive and an enthusiasm to craft themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. Joel, is it okay if I turn off the video because I'm having a little bit of bad connection? I'm not sure if it's my internet. Is that okay if we stop our video?
Sure, I can stop the video.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I can hear you clearly because
No problem.
there's so much wisdom in what you're saying. And I just want to make sure it's not just the internet or streaming. So yeah, so I hear you. So there's so many people with potential, but maybe they don't have that internal drive. Or do you find that they're just not into it at all and it's their parents that are driving them?
I found both. I've definitely found both. For the kids, I've had kids tell me, I really don't like this, but my mom or my dad made me come here.
Yeah.
I've had that happen plenty of times. To
And you're not
where
offended, right?
no, I'm never offended by it. I'm never offended by it. I'm going to stick to my job, regardless. And I tell them, okay, let's just still do your best at whatever I show you. And it's not my job to be their parent. I've mentioned different things to parents, but I don't want to cross the line. But kids have told me that, and I told them, look, no matter what you do, when you do what you do, just give your best effort. Period. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having flawless execution. What I do work on being flawless for kids is their effort. That's the main thing. So no matter if they desire to be there or not, or the parent is forcing them to be there, if they have the skill or if they don't have the skill, honestly, that's not a priority for me. The priority when I work with someone is, look, all I want you to do, whether you mess up or not, or make mistakes, is give total and complete effort. Mistakes are completely allowed. I'm expecting that when I'm showing you something new.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of what you're saying is in alignment with the growth mindset. Do people tell you that, or have you researched
Yes.
that?
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. Kind of, trip and fall your way to growth and success.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I want to learn a little bit more about you. And so you talked about consistency. Were there other things that drove you to be such a top performing player? I mean, you were number one nationally and top 30 players in the country for college. I mean, that's amazing. And then you went pro. So, I mean, what was it in you think? Because I feel like there's more than that consistency, or was it just that consistency and how many hours a day does that mean when you say consistency?
Well, I mean, so much of what I teach, and this is what I want for people to get a grasp of more than anything else, is the law, I dare say, of cause and effect, right?
Okay.
If you put in the work, then the effect will be you will have a solid result. And again, it may not be the perfect result, but I believe and this is looked at in a bad way, the statement that I'm about to say, or the scripture, you reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to put that in a positive light to where I let people know, look, you will reap great benefit when you sow great work, when you sow great practice, great training, you will reap amazing results. So it's for me, that's what it really was. I began to see over time, it wasn't just the drive. I began to be inspired and fulfilled from seeing, wow, I put in X amount of hours of practice, and my game after that was so much better. And during the off season, I would train from 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and then the next season, my points would increase by 7 points. So I just began really believing in cause and effect and reaping what I sowed, and that drove me further and further in the game of basketball because I saw that what I was doing also inspired other people to do the same and even greater.
Yeah. So like, okay, so you're saying 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, you would get up to work out or play basketball, and how long would you, and would you know what to do? Did you have a coach that was meeting you there?
Yeah, I dare say I didn't learn how to truly train on my own until I was about 20 years old.
Okay.
And, I worked out on my own as a teenager. Of course, 13, 14, I would go get up shots at the basketball court. But I didn't know how many of things to do. I didn't know how many sets I should do. I didn't even know the true intensity of how to train. I would go out there and not know, but I would be going 60%, maybe
Mhm.
50% just shooting around and saying, yeah, I went and worked out when I was 13 or 14. But when I got, older in college, I had my trainers, just like you mentioned. I had my coaches that really showed me, no, you have to go 100%, 110%. You have to practice. The practice and training should be harder than the games. That's what I was taught. And so that
Wow, that's
by the game
amazing.
time, yeah, you want to make sure you're training yourself and about 2 to 3 steps better than the game flow actually be. Game comes around. It's a piece of cake.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a flow there because you've done it so much. Just
Mhm.
another day. That's interesting. And so you notice that, okay, so you got into college even with this like 50, 60% effort that you were practicing and not really knowing how to train. Like, so what really motivated you? Did you have an early mentor or a coach?
Yeah, I mean, my one of my older brothers, Kevin, he was one of my early mentors in the game. He started me off in the game, and as I began to get older, started at a young age. My dad, he played basketball as well, so he was always a day one, just really showing me different things to do. Throwing suggestions at me, hey, you should try this, try that. He would take me out on the court, and for me
Oh,
as a
that's
teenager,
great.
it,
That's
it was yeah, that was on a regular basis too, and look, put it like this. Even to this day, so even if I have a charity or celebrity game or something like that, my dad is the first one to say, "All right, look, you ready to work out?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got you." So he'll come and work me out. Um, but I mean, that was what really helped me out. And an unfortunate motivator was when one of my older brothers, Kevin, that started me off in the game, really, he passed away tragically when I was 17. So for me, he really wanted a whole lot for me within the game of basketball. He gave me this nickname, Young Kobe. A lot of people around the city started calling me. And, I told him, I promised, I said, look, I'm going to give me a scholarship to college. I'm going to do better in school and just making these different promises. And when he passed away, I'm like, man, as much as I wanted to stop, I just had to find ways to keep going and just to improve. And that was a strong motivator. And still to this day, it's a major motivator for me.
Wow, that's amazing. How did your heart feel? Did you feel like any anger or sadness? And did you feel like you put it into your practice and playing basketball more?
Absolutely. That's what ended up happening. Initially, I was extremely mad. I was angry at the world. I was angry at life. I feel like I dare say I was angry at God, for a moment. Just like, man, why did he have to go? Just still learning what life was about at that time for me. It was just tough to figure out why it happened, and just so much. My heart dropped. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I became very antisocial and just didn't want to do much of anything. I didn't, basketball included. I could care less about basketball at that time. And it wasn't until I had family, come and tell me, like, no, you have to keep moving. You have to keep living. You're still here. And one of my uncles came over and told me, no, you have to get up and keep living. I was laying in my bed. I didn't want to see anybody, and I was down, extremely down, and just the moment I got up, I applied that anger, and that was a blessing. To the applied anger, in the right direction can do amazing things, and that's when I learned. Um, and as you mentioned earlier, having my book come out, that's when I began the method of what I refer to as filtering, just really finding ways to draw great fuel and fire from difficulties. And that's exactly what I did. And, just began doing amazing things on the court.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, did your childhood help you look at life differently? What was it like growing up?
Absolutely. It helped. It changed my entire perspective. It was the total opposite of where I am now. I've seen the rough side of life from day one, literally from day one. Was born into, just a poverty-stricken environment, neighborhood. I grew up in an abandoned house that just it had holes in different areas. Graffiti was still on some of our walls. We were next door to another abandoned house where a homeless guy lived, and
Yeah. And you lived there with your brother and your parents?
so it was me. I'm the youngest of four. So it was me, my brother Eric, my brother Kevin, who was the oldest one who passed away, and my sister Joy, who was the oldest of all of us, and both of my parents. So it was six of us in the house. And there were situations to where we all had to sleep in the same bed because we had kerosene heaters in the house. We didn't have, airflow and heat. So we had heaters in each of the room, but when we only had enough kerosene for one heater, it would go in our parents' room, and we all just had to sleep in our parents' bed, all six of us. And
Oh, that's kind of sweet in a way.
it's funny. So me being the youngest, I thought the same thing, but my
Yeah.
older siblings didn't feel the same way. They were, one of my older brothers, he was 4 years older. My older brother and sister, they were about 8 years older than me. So by that time, they didn't want to, be in a bed with
Yeah.
when they were 13 and 14, they didn't want to be in the bed with this little, 6 and 7 year old or whatever. But yeah, it was, in hindsight, it's like, wow, we had to go through that. But no matter what, it was all a blessing.
Mm. Did you always have love within your family?
Yes, fortunately,
Wow. Because a lot of
and
times, sometimes people have poverty and
mm,
abuse or not love or, you
right,
know,
right.
so it's like, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank God, because if we didn't, I personally don't know where I would be individually. Because I've relied on that my whole life. So I was never absent of love coming from my family and support. So I was fortunate to have that because, like you said, it could have easily gone in another direction, and all of us just been angry. We've all had our moments, of getting in trouble and things like that. But
Hmm. Yeah.
we've always had love for one another, always supported each other, and we always knew that we could call and rely on the other sibling or parent. So I'm fortunate to have had that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And now, like looking back, do you feel like that growing up like that makes you more appreciative? And also, helps you relate to others who might be struggling, or, since you were so sad when your brother died, you can really empathize with them.
Yeah, I mean that's what it does. I would say that's been the greatest part of it all, relating to others. Having empathy towards other situations and not being high-minded ever. I've come from such a humble circumstance to where if I dare become high-minded, that's foolish. I'm
Mhm.
asking to be put right back in that situation.
Yeah.
So for me, I stay in that mode of humility by going and I go and visit my old neighborhood every year. I go over there a couple times a year just to reflect, just to remember and not forget where I,
Wow. 2 times a year. That's impressive.
if not, I would say before, COVID and the shutdowns and everything, I would go 2 to 3. I wouldn't tell anybody. I would just
Yeah. Yeah.
drive past my neighborhood, drive past the old house, and go really slow. Sometimes I would park. Recently, I went over there, parked, and just got out and walked around the entire neighborhood, walked around where our old school was, just so I could feel it. I loved where I grew up. Again, it was violence. You would hear gunshots at night and hear people arguing outside our house. I witnessed a shooting when I was 6 years old, and I was the only person there. So like you know, I it was all I knew though. So it wasn't like I said, well, man, I wish we lived somewhere else. I didn't know about anywhere else.
Yeah.
That was just my life, and I enjoyed it to the fullest. But I knew after a while, like, man, this isn't good. Although it was all I knew it wasn't the best thing. Um, but yeah, I keep myself in that spirit of humility because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to dare become high-minded because I've had some success. Um, and I love relating to other people as a result of that.
Yeah. So, how can you help others see life from multiple vantage points since you've been there?
Well, I mean, if someone hasn't been on both sides of life, I dare say ask questions. You
Mm.
know,
Hmm.
Empathy comes from understanding.
Hmm.
And, if we're lacking empathy, it's probably just because we're ignorant, on different topics. And there's nothing wrong with that because everyone didn't experience the same thing. So I'm ignorant on certain topics. So when I feel or notice that I'm ignorant on different things, I'm such a curious person and a learner to where I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to find out something so that I can understand greater, so that I can empathize and not be foolish in my stance or my vantage points or my perspective. So if someone wants to relate more and empathize more, ask questions, try your best to understand the other side before you judge the other side. And that's what happens so many times. That's why there's so much prejudice, so many prejudgments that occurs because there's a lack of understanding. So I just say ask questions, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. So, for parents with kids in sports, how can we help inspire them without getting them injured or burned out? How can we support them? Or, like, sometimes they call parents or moms that are too aggressive tiger moms, like, go, go, go.
Right,
So
right.
I'm trying, for me, trying to find my balance too of encouragement and not, pushing him so far that he's just like, I'm done. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Well, again, I have a 9-year-old son, right?
Oh, that's cool. My son is 10.
Oh, nice, nice. So again, so you get a number of things I'm probably about to say.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So again, my son, he loves basketball too. Fortunately, because then we have a shared interest in that regard. I obviously want him to be good. I want him to be great. He wants to be as well, which is, you know, awesome, and I'm glad.
Yeah. So you
So
kind of let that go, even though, you've had this amazing trajectory and path, you kind of just like whatever you want. I feel that about you and your son
I would say in a way,
in a
because
way. Okay.
yeah, in a way, because he began expressing to me that he wants to get better. He literally said, I want to be just like you. He's told me that when he was younger. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to help you improve the game of basketball when we do different things. We're going to train, we're going to work out. But I'll dare say, even of late, because I've had my moments where I'm like, okay, I think I'm pushing him too hard. And I've had to step back and catch myself and say, okay, don't make this unfun. That's not, I know it's not a word, but no, you want this to be enjoyable for him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
As opposed to it
Right.
just being work. So what I've begun doing again recent months is saying, okay, mix in those fun days to where there's no pressure days, to where it's like it's not a workout. We're just playing basketball. He loves to play basketball. He's not always a fan of training and working out. So I even showed him a quote from Muhammad Ali recently, to where Muhammad Ali said, "I hated every moment of training, but I pushed through to live the rest of my life as a champion." And I showed him that
Wow,
quote.
that's
Yeah.
fascinating that he I would just never imagine that he hated it.
He literally said, I hated every moment
Yeah.
of
Because I
Muhammad
love
Ali.
training. Oh my God. I love
So I try to mix in those fun moments, those fun days
yeah.
where we literally just play, just play. Let's just go play. It's not about, I watch my terminology, my verbiage too. Let's not go work out. Let's go play the game.
Mhm.
And for him, I'll be honest, I saw the growth happen even faster when I mixed in those play days as opposed to the grueling workout
Oh,
days all the time.
I
And,
see.
and also what helped out was it allowed him to just to have greater application of what we were training. So, he was able to see it. Okay, wow, I can actually do this because of the training. So I cut back on the training and began increasing the play. So it's about
Yeah.
50-50 now.
Yeah, but that's still pretty good.
Mhm.
To be 50% training at 9 years old. Okay, now I'm going to get even more specific.
Go for
So,
it. Go
like, so,
for
um,
it.
what is your opinion about when you say working out, like for kids, your opinion about weights and weight training for younger kids? Because I've always heard, like I was a personal trainer. I did triathlons. I'm really into working out too.
Awesome.
And I always heard 12 years old would be a good age to do weights, but I was curious about your opinion.
I would agree. That 12 to 13, I always say that 12 to 13, because at that point, you're about to enter high school.
Okay.
You're in eighth grade. For different females, for example, they may already be around the max height, where they'll be the remainder of their lives.
Mhm.
So I look at things like that. Obviously, that's not the case for a lot of guys. Um, so it's I'm big on not stunting any height or growth in any way. So I say, okay, you want to wait till you're about 12 or 13 years old. I prefer 13. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but at the same time, it's right now we have so many ways of I refer to it as resistance training, of course, as
Yeah.
opposed to weight training, to where there's still things you can do at 10, 11, 12 years old as far as resistance training, as far as using bands. I'm huge on body weight
Yeah.
for kids and youth. So we'll do push-ups, we'll do crunches, we'll do
Mhm.
squats with holding something light. If they hold anything, I may give them a medicine ball, but nothing on their back to where it can do more damage than good, while their body is still in such a developmental stage.
Mhm.
So we'll do a lot of resistance training as far as with heavy resistant bands and um, medicine balls. Not a whole lot of weights.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting because I see you see things differently. Like a medicine ball isn't necessarily a weight because it's balancing your body. Is that
Mhm.
why?
Yeah, I mean it's more so, and again, it depends on the athlete as well. Depending on the
Mm.
sport that I may be training, I'll switch up the weight, let's call it, or the resistance that I offer that 10-year-old. So, it's if it's a football player, I'll try to find something that's oblong as opposed to a circular ball. I have these sandbags that's perfect, when it comes to like young football players. I don't want them to hold a circular ball. basketball players, I'll give them a medicine ball because it's circular. Like I switch things out in different ways to where even it's funny. I was doing some things with some soccer players, and I had them just shoving sandbags, shoes off, just socks, and they had to walk and shove, like with a side kick, with the inside of their foot, shove these sandbags along the turf. And it offered resistance.
Uh-huh.
So that by the time we actually, put shoes back on, was able to go full speed, they could tell that same motion was strengthened. So we do things like that to where, again, it's not a lot of weights, but I offer great resistance in different ways.
Yeah. So what do you think is the best exercise? Not necessarily resistance training, but for being a great basketball player? Like what's a good exercise that you've seen really helped you or your son the most?
Well, the fact is basketball and, besides basketball and let's say volleyball, the two of the jumping sports. So I tell basketball players all the time, you want to find ways to jump. So jumping rope has been one of the greatest exercises I've done as an athlete, period.
Wow.
Period. I mean it too. It keeps you agile, keeps you light on your feet, keeps you on your toes. And it's a full body workout because you're incorporating your shoulders, you're incorporating your arms, and
it's cardio. It is such
cardio.
A hard workout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So jumping rope has been, if there's one exercise, the fact that basketball is a jumping sport, jumping rope has been one of the best. So I would go with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great insight. And what about just high jumps or plyometrics? Like, what do you think about those? They have those exercises in CrossFit where you're jumping up high to those different heights.
I think it's great. I mean, plyos are amazing. Just for basketball, period. So obviously jumping rope is a plyometric. Any type of plyos are great for basketball players, for any athlete to work on explosion. And I'm big on that as far as the performance side of training, not just the skill side. Because if you have both, then you're that much greater of an athlete. So I'm big on training plyometrics, doing those explosive jumps, getting high reps of them so that your muscles can remember them and just execute whenever you attempt to do them. So I love things like that as well.
That's great. And do you have a success story of like a kid coming in that maybe wasn't that great or that motivated and really turned, like you inspired him to turn their attitude around, turn his or her attitude around?
Absolutely. There's I have a few, but I'll tell you one. There was a girl, Alyssa, and I began working with her. She came to my camp. This may have been back in 2011 or 12. And, I worked with her when she was 9 years old. And, no disrespect to her, she wasn't that good. But she really.
This is for basketball, right?
I'm sorry?
Was it for basketball or what?
This was for basketball, yeah. So this was for basketball. And I saw, though, from the first day, she loved basketball, but just didn't have much skill at all. So when I began working with her, I just said, all right, let's keep it loose. Let's keep it simple and just see what the fundamentals look like. And she had, the thing about her was she had a motor. So she was willing to mess up. She was willing to just chuck the ball up there and just do her best. And that helped a whole lot because you'll have a lot of kids. So you're talking
about consistency, like going for it. Yeah,
exactly. And you have a lot of kids that wants to be so perfect that they're not willing to mess up and just do or try what you requested or what you're demanding of them to try. But she wasn't that good. But again, she had the drive and desire. She told me, I want to, play college basketball and these different things. And I said, all right, cool. I said, well, I told her from the jump, I said, it's going to take you a lot of work. And I said, you're going to have some tears. We're going to have some tears. We're going to have some different things. And we definitely did over the years. And I worked with her up until, going to college. And she became, a top 100 player in the country.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. That is such a good story. I'm totally crying.
She scored over 2,000 points in high school. She became really, really good. And, I loved her for it because of for her effort, because it inspired me to see
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, you put in that work, it really will pay off and you will live out your dreams. So Alyssa, she's been one for me, is like, wow, she's a part of the mold that I still carry today when I'm working with different players, because I saw it work with her over an 8 year, 7 to 8 year period. So
Wow.
yeah, and I have a couple of those stories, but she's the main one that jumps out to me. She was one of my first athletes, and she became really, really good.
Wow. That is so inspiring. I mean, can you imagine the opportunity to work with you for 7 and 8 years?
Mhm.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift to your book, Filtering: The Way to Extract Strength from the Struggle. So, how was that writing it?
You know what? It was a 6 year process, believe it or not.
I
Um,
believe it. I'm a writer
yeah.
too.
Okay.
Yep.
So you completely understand. So I began. I came up with the title. I was speaking it already from the stage at that point in time, back in about 2016. Um, I knew what it was going to be. I knew what it was going to be about. So I began just contributing content to this Word document that I had, this ever expanding Word document. And I would say I would have a thought on the topic, and just I would go ahead and just ramble away on the Word document and type up, 1,000 words, and just would step away from it. And I just kept doing that over the years. Like, I knew this would be a book, but I never got serious about making it a book until 2019. 2019, something happened to where I was just driving around. This was on my older brother Kevin, who passed away on his birthday. And it struck me for some odd reason that year super hard, as if it just happened. And it was really difficult. I mean, I was driving around, it was raining, and I was crying. I had to pull over. And I said, man, so I pulled over. I told myself, filter it, filter it. This was a term I used to tell myself just all the time, filter it, filter it. Just get something from this. Don't just stay in this emotional place and go down, come up from it. So um, that same day, I pulled up to my house when I finally got home, and I sat outside my house while it was still raining. I just started crying again. I told myself, filter it, filter it. And immediately some ideas came to mind, and I hopped out of my car, ran inside, got in front of the computer, and just started typing this book. I put myself on a schedule. I said, I have to finish this book. And I just began drawing so much strength from that moment. When I kept telling myself, filter it, I really saw the creative brainstorming that comes by way of filtering your emotions and what you're going through, and how I'm able to draw out amazing things, even from difficult situations like that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I do this a workshop called From Pain to Purpose, like
Right.
really figuring out, okay, what is the reason behind this pain or disease happening with you? And maybe you were talking about the struggles that you had growing up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like every pain has a purpose. It's actually, one of the chapters in the book is called "The Purpose of Our Pain."
Yay. See, we're in
Absolutely. So
alignment. We're in alignment.
exactly, exactly. So I mean, I wholeheartedly believe that there is a purpose behind everything, and we ought to question our pain, question what we go through, and not
Yes,
ignore it.
absolutely.
And that's when we find the fruits of that situation, and we're able, I dare say, to avoid that situation from coming again in the future in that same facet. And we're
Mhm.
able to really resolve things as opposed to having revolve.
Yeah, it can give you a different perspective. So, what are one of the ways that from our audience, can you give us one of the tips that our audience can find strength through the struggle if they're struggling right now?
Absolutely. Again, question the struggle.
Mhm.
And don't question it emotionally though. Like, why me? Don't do that. You know?
Because then you're getting into like the victim. It's not
Yeah,
empowering. Yeah.
exactly. The self-pity, those, that's a dangerous place to pit. Pity is a pit. And I tell people that it's a pit, and it's hard to get out of it. So you don't want to put yourself in that place, but question what you're going through, question that struggle, and really try to pick it apart, break it down. And that's what the whole filtering process is breaking your situations down, question it, lean into it. Don't try to sweep it under the rug. You'll trip over that at some point. It's like you must look into it, break it down and say, okay, what can I get from this to make me better? How can this, if possible, how can this actual struggle right now push me forward? How can it push me forward? And the moment you start to question your situations in that capacity, again, that's when you get into a great brainstorming phase that so many people don't have an opportunity to experience amidst a struggle because we're just trying to get rid of the struggle so fast, as opposed to, because it's painful, it hurts. But the moment you question that struggle, you question that pain, you start to find the fruits within that moment while you're going through it. And you actually you're no longer be in a rush to get rid of that struggle because you start to thrive amidst of it.
That's beautiful. That you just really feel it fully and completely, question, okay, what is the purpose? What is the reason? Yeah, that's amazing. I love that advice.
I have to mention one more thing too, because this is what helps me. It helps me so much. I mean, how and how can I help someone else with what I'm going through right now?
Mm.
And the beauty of what that does is this. So many times when we're amidst a struggle, we get extremely selfish. Why me? Like I mentioned already, oh, it always happens to me. We put ourselves in the forefront of this thing, not realizing so much of what we go through is not for us, but it's for someone else. And I've realized that
Oh,
about my
now that's
life.
profound. Everybody take that in. That's really profound. Yeah.
I think I had to realize that from my experiences, the things you asked me about earlier, growing up in those conditions and things like that. I didn't go through that just so that I can go through it. I've gone through those things so that I can now, as I feel, walk in my purpose and help impact other people by saying, you know what, I get it, I understand it. Here's how to get beyond it. So much of what we go through is not just for us. So when you're amidst that struggle, I dare say, put yourself aside and say, how can this be helpful for someone else? And it gets you out of that place of selfishness. It makes you more selfless, and you start coming up with ways to just thrive. And again, you don't notice the struggle as much then.
Yeah. Yeah. And you kind of shift that energy into
Exactly.
how can I serve? How can I serve
Exactly. Yep.
others? Because I think you really nailed it, Joel. I have to be honest, because it's like, I almost feel like you discovered the key of life. It's like this. Oh my gosh, I'm just having this moment of realization that if we can shift, if humanity can shift that and realize we're meant to help others with our own pain and struggle. Wow, can you imagine what kind of world we'd live in?
It would be, nothing is perfect, but we would be in such a great place if
Mhm.
we shifted the struggle, whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah.
it just really changed our mentality and our approach amidst, and that's one thing
Mhm.
that I was just recently talking to someone about is not just being aware of these things to do. The challenging thing a lot of times is, can you bring this awareness back to the forefront of your mind while you're going through what you're going through? Like not waiting on hindsight to say, oh yeah, that was the answer. No, while you're going through what you're going through, can you make that shift while you're
Mm.
going through it and not let emotions cloud the intelligence that you have, the knowledge that you have, the wisdom that you have? That's what happens so often. Our wisdom is clouded by emotions, and we
Mhm.
forget the protocol. We forget the things that we've learned. So it was like, that's the challenge. Catch yourself and filter what you're going through while you're going through it.
Well, you're bringing your peak performance and training to this struggle, aren't you?
Absolutely. Look, so much of who I am, Carissa, is because of my athletic background
Yeah.
and, things I learned, studying psychology and,
Mhm.
doing, the sports psychology studies that I had to do. And that's the whole approach. It's like I just had to apply. And that was the beauty of, I never forget my first sports psychology course that I took in college.
I love psychology, by the way. I have a minor in exercise and health science. And I love
Oh,
it.
perfect. Oh, so
Yeah. Yeah.
right. I mean,
It's so
it
good.
was amazing, right? I loved it. It was so much that you easily saw could be applied to just life outside of sports.
That's true. Good point.
And I took full advantage of it. I would ask my teacher so many questions, like, well, if this happened, what, could I actually do this, in a classroom, this and that, outside of sport? I mean, I was so curious, and it helped me so much to this day. I mean, I read so much on the mind and things like that, to where I just don't want to. I want to stay sharp. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sports psychology is, I mean, that's a major part of the Olympic team. And
Mhm.
it must be for pro athletes as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I would love to sit down again. I've been a pro, so I get it. But I would love to sit down with Olympians and just have a
Yeah.
talk. They're the best in the world.
Hmm.
I would love to just dive into their mindset, not so much their regimens, but the mind behind their regimen. Um, Again, I get it as a pro myself, but there's athletes with greater mentalities than I. So I would really love to find out, like, what drives you, like what,
Yeah.
just why, what makes you go that hard, but yeah, I'm so curious about things like that, because I know what it takes to be a peak performer, but I know there's even more out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you hear some of them being interviewed, they'll say, "Oh, I already won this gold medal in my mind like 100 times," or it's like they visualize their wins too so clearly, and everything, the emotions and the feelings associated with that.
And that's me to a T. I mean, one thing I've done, and I do this to this day. I visualize what I'm about to pursue before I even make a move toward it, and I do it and I don't stop until I actually feel like I've already gotten it. And I'm talking about
Oh,
physiologically, like it goes from just the psychological side to physiological. I must feel it. I'm talking to the point of I can literally draw the entire scope of things out and show you exactly what happened once I had it. I must feel as if it's already mine, and then that's when I go after it. That's all a part of. There's 3 steps that I give people a lot of times, and the first step is to have a childlike imagination. And during that phase, when I'm pursuing a goal, I don't move on to the next step until I feel like it's already been mine.
oh my God, you're amazing. I love that. That's incredible because that is a secret to manifestation. What you
Absolutely.
just said right there.
Absolutely. You have to
Wow.
feel it. And for me, the reason why I love to feel it too is because then I feel like I deserve it. And it's
Hmm.
deserving is such a forgotten piece to the puzzle for so many people. They don't feel like they deserve a certain thing, so they don't pursue it as hard, you
Hmm.
know. But like if I had $10 that were taken from me, I'm like, no, that's my $10. I deserve that back. So for me, things that I truly feel I deserve, I feel like that I deserve my possessions. And if I get myself to the point of feeling like I've already possessed this thing, oh, I'm going after what's mine.
Yeah, absolutely. So when will your book be released?
My book will be released. The date right now is September 6th, 2022. So I am super excited to release the book. We have some great things in the works too that will
Yeah.
precede that. Yeah, I'm sure you'll love to see this. This is so a book trailer is being created right now
Okay.
for the book, and it's not your average book trailer at all. It's a 3D book trailer, and
Yay.
Yeah, so the same look as a Toy Story, Ice Age. You'll see my life. Honestly, many of the things that we discussed, you'll see, me and my family growing up in the settings that I described. You'll see things that I witnessed as a youth. You'll see things that I've gone through. You'll see death. You'll see divorce. You'll see a whole lot of transparency within this book trailer, and just a whole lot of work.
Wow, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's about 5 months into development already. And it's gonna be about 2.5 to 3 minutes in length. It's the serious, the whole DreamWorks type of process. It's that same process. So it's pretty involved. It's gonna be really, really good.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. And I'm sure you'll go on tour, book tour.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
that's the plan. We're already mapping out a few places now. So, some bookstores,
Hmm.
some universities, to where I really my overall objective is impact. That's why I wrote the book. I really wanted to impact people in a major way, and just have massive influence to where people have some protocols in place for themselves to say, okay, when I go through this, here's what I can do. Here's something that can be a strategy to save me. To be honest, I saw what it's done for me, and things that I've had to overcome. I had no choice but to overcome. At least that's the way I told myself. Um, when I was faced with different things, I want to relay this mentality, this peak performing mentality, as you mentioned, to other people, because I see what it can do for them.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And you're a motivational speaker, obviously. This whole interview has been so inspiring and motivating. And what has been one of the best motivational talks that you've given, and how was it received?
Uh, and that's a good one. I would say it would be the TED talk that I gave,
Uh-huh. What was the talk? What
because
was it called?
that was called Three Essentials to Equality.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why I would say it would be that one is because, again, obviously equality, racial topics, things like that, prejudices, it's touchy topics, for a lot of people, to even think about. It's a very cringing area. It's like, okay, let's dance around this. But,
That's true.
the reason why I really look back on and say, okay, that was a great talk, because I tied in goal setting with equality, as
Ah,
opposed to saying, hey, stop doing this, be nice, instead of just gotta go attacking one side or another side. I spoke on how setting goals can apply to it, gaining greater equality in this country and across the world, between black, white, between everyone, and just us working together in ways to eradicate it and get rid of the police brutality that's been taking place and things like that. I brought it all up and
good for
just said,
you.
okay, I didn't want to ignore it.
Yeah.
This was a couple years, this going on 2 years ago, and after so much was happening, videos going viral and things like that, I'm like, I can't ignore this, and it was just on my heart so much. I was talking about it behind the scenes so often. I said I would be foolish to have such a platform like the TED stage and not speak on it. So I speak on goals all the time. That's one of the main talks and keynotes that I give. I'll go to different organizations and businesses and say, look, here's how to attain, goals for sales and XYZ. Um, I had to tie it into equality. So that's when I gave the childlike imagination as the first step, need your wants as step number 2, and focus on the journey as step number 3, and just tied it all into how it can improve upon us as a people, one
Mm.
people.
Hmm. Okay. Now, how did you make it on the box of Cheez It?
That was a freak accident. So,
you didn't
so
you didn't visualize that one? Okay.
I actually did. I actually did. As funny as it sounds, not
That's
not to the point
awesome.
to where I made it happen, but subconsciously it happened. I told myself when I was younger I wanted to be on a box of Wheaties,
Yeah.
and I saw Michael Jordan and some Olympic athletes on a box of
Yeah.
Wheaties when I was probably about 8 years old. And I was like, oh, I remember, I can literally picture right now looking. I wasn't at the height of the fridge, at the top of the freezer, but I remember looking up at, the orange box of Wheaties and seeing Michael Jordan's face on there. It was like, oh man, that'll be cool. I'm gonna be on a box one day. And once I decided to step away and retire from playing basketball, I began doing modeling, sports and fitness, acting, things like that. And I did a photo shoot one night when I was just hustling to get prints as a model, just trying to build my portfolio. And you'll laugh at this. I would say this: 4 years later, that same image that I took, popped up on a box of Cheez-Its. And
Nice.
I wasn't thinking anything about that photo shoot that I took, because it wasn't specifically for Cheez-Its, at least in my mind. But they selected that photo 4 years after I took the shot. And once I appeared on the box, I developed a great relationship with Kellogg's, with Cheez-Its, the Cheez-Its family. They've embraced me as a part of the family. I'm on Team Cheez-Its now. I've played in a celebrity basketball game that they put on every year multiple times. Along with being coached by Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Dominique Wilkins.
Oh my God, what an honor.
Being
That's
a part
awesome.
of these games. So it's manifestation for sure. It was something I visualized. It's more so like a subconscious situation. I'm like, I want to be on box of Wheaties one day. But my son, he found it in the store. He was about 3 years old. He said, Daddy, you're on the orange crackers. You're on the orange crackers. I said, no, I'm not. I said, come on. So we got to go. And he ran and grabbed the box and showed me. I said, wow, it's me.
Oh my God. It's funny that they didn't tell you.
No, what? Yeah, it was crazy. They didn't even know who I was at the moment.
Oh
we
my
quickly
gosh.
connected, and literally, we've been connected. It's funny how this thing works as far as the modeling side, because sometimes you, as a model, depending on the type of shoot, you sign the rights away to the images that you take.
Yeah. And then you get like a percentage or something after.
Depending, you're right. So some can be set up that way. I set up what was called a TFP shoot, so a time for prints.
Okay.
And I gave the photographer my time. He gave me the prints. That's all I needed. So I signed away all my likeness. I became a stock image. So you can go to istock.com and you saw all these images of me on things like that. And I was popping up on different people's websites and marketing material. But this was the one that really took off. And
that's
we
amazing.
became connected. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. And
so, that's great. So what is Zen success to you?
You said, what is success?
Zen success.
Oh, Zen success. I would say, Zen success is fulfillment, ultimate fulfillment. I mean, that's what it boils down to from my end. When you are at a place, no matter what you're pursuing, and you're not in a place of comparing yourself to other people and the level of what they've done or they didn't do, the moment you're fulfilled from what you're doing, you're successful.
That's amazing. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you. I know we went way over time. And I just love talking to you, learning more about your upcoming book, Filtering. I'm so excited for the 3D video. I'll put your website and how to connect with you in the show notes. Your publicists, I'll connect with them. And just thank you for being here with me today, Joel.
Carissa, thank you so much for having me. I mean it. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Zen Success is also available on the radio in select markets through amfm247.com. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to zensuccessshow.com to help you on your Zen success journey and join us on the next episode May you find your own Zen success in life.
With the state of today's economy, it's more important than ever to invest in products that last for years to come. As the seasons shift and get cooler, make sure your closet is stocked with durable layers that stand the test of time from American Giant. American Giant's clothes work harder and are wearable season after season. Their greatest hoodie ever made is made from the highest quality materials that are cut and sewn right here in the United States. So you're investing right back in your local community. Choosing American Giant means taking a stand for American manufacturing and hardworking Americans, something other mega corporations don't care about. From fleece to knit, all in a range of colors for versatile daily wear, American Giant delivers everyday pieces designed for everyday life. Feel the difference of quality, made-to-last clothes from American Giant. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at american-giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at american-giant.com with code STAPLE20.